Sherrie, there's a lot said about becoming an attraction agent, but to become an attraction agent, that requires a lot of profile marketing.
Yes, no, I agree. And I think as much as everyone wants to be an attraction agent, the reality is that you actually need to get there first. So I think, the first thing you need to do is actually just build up that, I guess, that profile by hard work and by creating, raving mad fans. And then once you've got raving mad fans and they start to give you referrals and then it all starts to come together, and then you start to make money so that you can actually, post on the internet and those sorts of things.
So is it like building blocks? You just start with one, you make the best thing, you do the best you can with that, then you build on it?
Yes, and I think people look at, what they want to do in a year. I don't look at it that way. I'm actually very focused on 3 months, and I use each individual property, I guess, as you talk about, as a block to actually get to the next step, to get to the next step, to get to the next step. So it is very, very specific.
You work in an office that's got some pretty high-profile operators. In fact, some of the best high-profile operators in Brisbane or Queensland, maybe even Australia, who knows? But how do you stand out in that environment? Why would someone come to your office and list with you?
Yeah, you are right. I do work in a remarkable office. And if I may, that's probably one of the reasons why I want to work there, because I actually want to be in an environment where people want to be the best at their craft, and we all want to have that high-performance mentality. I am truly blessed to work in that environment. But I suppose at the end of the day, if I'm coming up against somebody else high profile in my office, quite often what we'll do, rather than fight each other for it, we'll actually just join forces and we'll go for it ourselves. So I think our office has a very different atmosphere to most other real estate agencies, where we're not actually fighting each other. We actually do genuinely want the best for each other.
Sherrie, how important has social media been to you in building your profile?
Well, that's really been a foundation, I suppose, to my business. So I get at least a lead a day from Facebook. Now, some of them may not be my preferred leads, but the reality is that if I'm not able to work it, I might be able to refer it to somebody else in my office or another agency. So I think it is absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
and of course video's given us that opportunity to actually show a lot more personality in what we do. Do you use that in your communication?
Yeah, look, I do. I love video, and I do see the relevance, and I do very strongly believe in video. So as soon as I list a property, I literally do the 30-second, hold my phone up or my iPad up. And it's really funny, people love those videos. The professional ones, I always get a couple of likes, but I get lots of shares for these 30-second videos that I do. And it's really funny, I literally stand up there, I do one take, and I'm back in the car and I'm kind of running off.
Sure.
But the amount of people that might call me up and say, oh, Sherrie, I don't know if you realise, but you said "and" there a few times, or, so people are actually really watching.
Critiquing you.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's kind of great. But, I'll run into somebody in the street and they'll sort of say to me, hi Sherrie, how you going? I'm like, great, I haven't seen you in ages. And they said, well, I feel like I see you all the time because I watch your videos. So I know that they're actually being used. One of the property that I sold earlier this year, the video was actually shared and I got an offer from somebody else's database, I suppose, on Facebook, which is powerful. You
use video also for seller feedback, don't you?
Yes, I do. So as soon as I finish an open home, I do send a video to my buyers, but I also do send one to sellers as well, because then I'm in the car, they're dying to find out what happened at the open home, and I don't necessarily have a moment to give them a call at that time. Sometimes, I might need to call somebody hot back from an open home 1 or 2 before, but they know that I'm going to get back to them that day, but they've got an immediate response ready to go.
Those videos you do for buyers who come to open homes, are they done for every individual buyer?
Not every buyer, but obviously if somebody has come to a few of my open homes that day, they will actually be more specific, because it's clear that they're a qualified buyer who's ready to go now.
And what do you say to them?
I just generally thank them for their time and for coming through, and see if they have any further interest to give me a call, and letting them know when I'm going to be in contact furthermore.
Have you got a script for that, or is that just done off the cuff?
Well, we do it a lot, so I guess we've kind of become a little bit programmed, but no, it's done off the cuff.
Hello once again. Well, we're going to hear from Geoff White at CoreLogic in just a moment. The market is struggling to hold confidence. Preliminary results show a clearance rate of just over 58%, thanks to a stellar result from Sydney. Geoff with all the details in just a moment.
Did you know you can save up to 70% on your staff costs by outsourcing the low-value, repeatable tasks, so your team can focus on growing your business? Beepo is an outsourcing provider focused on the real estate industry. With an English-speaking, tertiary qualified and fully trained team in the Philippines, Beepo will give your business the boost it needs to start growing and returning value to you. For more information, visit beepo.com.au.
Okay, and we welcome Geoff White from CoreLogic with us once again. Geoff, a good result out of Sydney. Let's bring the preliminary results up firstly.
Yes, hi Kevin. Yes, Sydney actually did on the preliminary results bounce back a bit this week. The preliminary was up 1% on the preliminary of the week before. So if we're comparing apples with apples in terms of preliminaries, Sydney's definitely up 1%, 62.9 from 927 auctions. So that's a pretty good result for Sydney, and a lot of auctions too. I mean, it's really held its own in terms of Melbourne as well. Usually you'll see far more auctions in Melbourne than Sydney, and it's level pegging. So, yeah, good result from Sydney yesterday and during the week. So Melbourne, by the other side of the coin, has dropped 3% on the preliminary of last week, so down to 54.9 off 939 auctions. So a little bit flatter in Melbourne, it would appear. Brisbane, although we know the auction numbers aren't in comparison to Sydney or Melbourne, but 135 auctions there, but it jumped almost 20% on the preliminaries of the week before. So obviously some hot properties there being offered during the week, and they've been in hot demand. So the clearance rate is the preliminary is just nudging 50 for Brisbane, yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place, isn't it? I mean, we look at that huge jump in Brisbane. You can't measure anything by that, but agents are telling me, Geoff, that listings are still very, very tight in Brisbane.
Yeah, I think that's actually across the board a little bit. New listings, definitely. So that could be driving that in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Adelaide, of course, 60.2 off 149 auctions, so a pretty good result in Adelaide. And Perth, on the low numbers that they have at 33, 41.7, and Canberra, 56.3 from 78. So. Yeah. 2,268 auctions, Kevin, weighted average, as you say, 58.2. So not too bad.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the final results come in at. Are you confident that we're going to crack over 50% final results?
Yeah, look, I think so. Based on the collection rates and historically, it should have a 5 in front of it, Kevin, but it's going to be touch and go. If it is, it'll be very low 50s, I think, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll have that final result for you on Thursday. Just a note, too, that we're actually going to bring the Friday show forward. We won't be obviously bringing a show to you on Good Friday, but we will have the auction update for you in the final numbers by Thursday. Let's take you to our next graphic, and this one looks at houses and units. No real variation here. I did think, though, Geoff, we're hearing a lot of talk out of Melbourne about an oversupply of units, and I was wondering if that was going to start showing up in the figures here, and it may have even had a bit of an impact on the final clearance rates, but it doesn't seem to be the case when we look at these numbers.
Yes, it seems to go from one to the other in Melbourne with houses and units clearance rates. This week, obviously, the houses are up on the units, 56.1 compared to 52.8, but you could go back and have a look at previous weeks, and it could be the opposite. The unit supply, many of those units aren't being auctioned. So the private sale market is definitely, there's more units, and I just think it's one of those things there, Kevin. But it's not vastly different. No. There's a few percentage in between. The other thing is with Sydney, it's the reverse. The units have actually got a higher clearance rate than the houses. By a couple of percent. So obviously the unit market in Sydney, based on supply and what's being offered, it's pretty strong because the units are actually higher than the total for Sydney. So, yeah.
Indeed. Okay, well, speaking of Sydney, let's have a look at the Sydney sub-region results. Anything stand out for you there? Because it was a good result for Sydney overall. It looks like, Ride, once again, I think we saw that last week, didn't we? A good percentage there.
Yeah, we're seeing Ride is certainly up there. So no matter, even though the numbers are 39 auctions, it's still 88%, and I think that's really good, and it shows that there's demand there. But Winner West there, I thought was a real standout with 101 auctions and 76%. I thought, gee, that's good. But the auction numbers are up, and also the clearance rate. So that was a real highlight for me out of this. And then we've got many in sort of that low to mid-60s there, from eastern suburbs at 60 with 144 auctions. So that's certainly held its own. North Sydney Hornsby, we talk about that pretty regularly at 65.3 at 155 auctions. So there's some really good, pleasing results in it. And I think it's pretty solid across the board, except maybe one or two that are down lower. But, I think Sydney's actually starting to show some good numbers here. And I won't call it early, but it's certainly a lot better than it has been over, recent months, yeah.
It'd be really interesting, and maybe we should talk about this off air, Geoff, if there is ever the opportunity for us to look at the sub-regions and say, well, is there a region in Sydney and Melbourne, for that matter, that is a bit of a litmus for the final result? In other words, if we look at, say, North Sydney and Hornsby at 65%, or even eastern suburbs, they're significant numbers. Are those results, do they translate into a final? In other words, can we see something from them in terms of where the market's headed? That would be interesting if we went back over, say, the last couple of years.
Yeah, we can do that, I guess. The ones that, certainly the eastern suburbs, the higher volume ones, I focus on them. And so
yes.
City and inner south at 63.3, well, that's pretty much what the Sydney rate is.
That's right.
On the preliminary. And if you go to the others, they're all sort of in that range. So look at the higher volume ones, eastern suburbs, City inner south, and perhaps inner west to some degree, although that's a bit higher this week. But they're the ones I tend to focus on. And when the Sydney clearance rate is up, they're usually doing okay, those sub-regions, and that's the way I look at it. No, there's similar for Melbourne with the sub-regions as well.
Yeah, it'd be good if we could do that, Geoff. Anyway, there's a bit of homework for you, maybe over Easter. Hey? What do you reckon, son?
Yeah, no worries, we'll get there.
Yeah, good on you. All right, let's go to Melbourne now, and we'll have a similar look there at the sub-regions. A lot in the 50s, only a couple in 60s there.
Yeah, I think this is the point. See, inner east was higher last week, and the preliminary clearance rate was higher. So that's a good one to keep an eye on. And when that was down last year, well, we were talking in the 40s. So that's at 52.9 with 88. But you've got to look at the inner one there, 59.5 from 205 auctions. So that, if that's sort of nudging into the 60s, the overall Melbourne rate will be higher. Inner south, smack on 50% from 142, and we've got the northwest there at 60%, and outer east with 61.2. So they're pretty consistent there. But just some of those sub-regions are down a little bit compared to last week. Hence the 3% fall on the preliminaries in Melbourne.
Yep. Okay. Well, We've just jumped a little bit here. We'll go back because we like to bring you the top sale. Top sale out of Sydney was a contemporary home over 3 levels, breathtaking ocean views. This one sold by McGrath's, just a touch over $6 million at 15 Cairo Street, South Coogee, Geoff.
Yeah, what a property this is. It's a great result, 6.22. Yeah, it's architecturally designed, as you say, 3 levels, 4 beds, 3 baths, 3 car. What a location, breathtaking views, ocean views, minutes to the Coogee Beach, vibrant cafes, a lot of accommodation here. If you click on the floor plan, you can see that it's the 3 levels there clearly, and the accommodation and fit and finish that it offers. So very much a luxury residence, brand new with those ocean views. You can't get much better than that, and it's got a pool and all the stuff you need, mate.
Yeah, spectacular bedroom there. A great way to wake up in the morning looking at those views, that's for sure. So
wouldn't get out of bed, Kevin.
No, you wouldn't, mate. Yeah, congratulations to Marnie from McGrath's for selling that one. We'll have a look at the Melbourne property. Wow, I don't know where to start with this one. This was sold on Wednesday, not on the weekend. It was sold on Wednesday, the 11th. How do you describe this? Well, actually, I think the best way, Wesley Belt, who was one of the agents, Wesley and Natalie sold this one from Buxton's. Wesley does a great walk-in introduction to this, and we'll just go straight to that now. Yeah, great way to describe it. I imagine that family putting that portfolio together. What have we got? 4 titles there. And we'll roll the video while we talk about this because it shows you just how much land is involved over four. There's over, as Wesley said, there are over 3,000 square metres, Geoff.
Yeah, that's right. This is really unique. That's an understatement, really. So if you look at the Nepean Highway, Aspendale frontage, those properties, there's 2,357 square metres plus 3 Hoole Avenue, which is another 677 square metres. So it's land here. But if you know that area, there's a strip of properties between the Nepean Highway and beach, and they have absolute beach frontage. And it's totally unique. It really is. It's almost like the Golden Mile in Brighton. So the multiple opportunities here with the 2 street frontages. And if you have a look at the it's a bit of a sort of it's almost like a T-shaped block. Yes. 34-foot frontage to the Nepean Highway and 19-foot frontage to the foreshore, and it has this other arm that comes off. So it's what a magnificent holding and a terrific result, I must say. But this will. You just won't get another one of these during the year or probably for years. So
and
it's very unique.
Yeah, to be able to go straight through from the Nepean Highway straight to the beach. And as Wesley said in that video, it's the ultimate. Walk out of your back door and straight onto the beach. You just can't beat that. It's
and Nepean Highway is a thoroughfare, main road into the city and down to the peninsula and your own beach frontage. And it'll be very interesting to watch this and see what the purchaser actually does with the site. But yeah, Wes built an old stager from around that area, and he's done a terrific job with Natalie. So well done, Wes. Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, come back after that, and I want to tell you about the top sale out of Brisbane, which is absolutely spectacular, right on the river. Back to tell you about that in just a moment. Okay, welcome back to the show. Yeah, well, as I said at the start, just before we went to that break, the top sale out of Brisbane, $3,150,000. This one sold by Ray White Sherwood stroke Graceful, 51 Brisbane Corso Fairfield, right on the river. One of Brisbane's most desirable precincts, this one, Brisbane Corso, Geoff.
Yeah, very much so, Kevin. It's a great result too, and offers a lot of accommodation. And look, aren't we good? What we're seeing are properties near water. A lot of cases where there's views or river frontage or whatever it may be, we're seeing some really great results. And this is another one that Australians are attracted to water. So. This is why there's been so much demand for this property there, Kevin. Yeah,
indeed,
great result. Yeah.
Michael Nolan Cameron Crouch selling this one. 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom, 4-car on 1,212 square metres. I said $3,150,000. So congratulations to them for doing that. And our top sale out of Adelaide, a beautiful old sandstone home here, circa 1900, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, Toop and Toop. Lou and Orlando selling this one for $1.5 million at 45 Dover Street at Melbourne, Geoff.
Yeah, 4-bed, 2-bar, 2-car, 650 square metres. As you say, circa 1900 sandstone. Very, very desirable looking home. And as you go through the home, you get to really appreciate that there's a mixture of the new and the old here. It's got the features that you want in a classic home with the fireplaces, the timber floors, the cornices and those sorts of things. And then you've also got, great facilities in the kitchen and family room over the pool at the back. So
I noticed
got everything.
Yeah, I noticed one of those images we show in the video, the Casio video, is of a barn door. I call it a barn door. So, the bottom half and the top half, so you can actually have the privacy at the bottom by having that closed, and the top half you can have open. So yeah, I just thought that was a nice touch, and very typical of that era too. One of our very early homes, not but where I grew up, we had one of those doors. That's so good, particularly it stops the breeze coming in at your feet, but you can get a nice breeze from the top. So.
Yeah, it's good when they retain those features, but I'm waiting for Mr. Ed to pop his head round the door and
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Isn't it? It's the old barn door.
That's right.
Yeah.
But no, great result, and well done to the Toop and Lou and Orlando. Yeah, that's a terrific result. And again, value for money, but based on other capitals that we're seeing. What a house and what a great buy, really. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there it is, the wrap for the week. We just watch with interest as to what happens after Easter. Of course, we're going to a bit of a hiatus this coming weekend, but we will be back on Thursday to give you the final wrap for the week and the final results from the last week. And we'll also be with you the following Tuesday. We won't broadcast a show on Easter Monday, but we'll be back on Tuesday just to give you a bit of an idea about what did happen, because I think there are a few auctions. We'll find out about that when Geoff does return with us on Thursday. We'll have a look at what's coming up. All the best for this week, mate. It's a short week. And
it's hard to believe it's Easter, and the year's getting up. My mother used to say time flies when you're getting older, so I believe that now. So.
Okay. Oh, no, I prefer to say time flies when you're having fun.
That's true, yes. Yeah, okay.
And I'm having a lot of fun doing this show with you, I can assure you.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Geoff White with us every week, twice a week, and we give you the rundown as we've done with this show. Then we have a look at the following weekend's activities, all with the compliments of CoreLogic. All of our stats, of course, coming from CoreLogic. Geoff, we'll look forward to talking to you on Thursday, my friend. See you then.
Cheers. Thanks, Kevin.
Evening, Clara. Home, please.
David, what's on your mind?
I was just thinking of a different time is all. It was a time when I used to sit up there, Driving wasn't just about being taken from place to place, but going somewhere. Feeling something along the way.
Please, David, you should relax.
I'm afraid that's just the problem.
David, where are you going? David?